Good afternoon, everyone. We got some news to share with you. First of all, hope you're having a great inaugural week with President Biden as the new president, first week in office. We do have some information for you that we want to share with you here about the Well, first, actually, we have some news from former President Trump. Right before he left office, he did lift the travel ban for the UK, Shenzhen area. That really means Germany. So go ahead and ask your questions. I know some of y'all have been waiting for our Q&A, our live show here. And of course, if you've been watching our previous videos this week, the US Citizenship Act of 2021 was introduced the first day of this week, essentially, after Biden took the oath. So we've been waiting for that. And if you haven't watched our previous videos, to give you a quick idea what that is, what it includes is that anyone that was in the U.S., physically present in the U.S. on January 1st, 2021, and has good moral character and has paid their taxes, then they qualify. Now, that's just very, very bare bones requirements. I know there's going to be more information that they're going to provide. So this is very preliminary introduction of this bill. Like any bill that Senate and the House that they consider, it's not going to be quick. I was actually surprised, for example, that they passed the last stimulus check round in the second PPP within a couple weeks. But at the same time, the House passed their version back in May of 2020. So it does take a while. It does take a while in general for bills to get through the process, and for all elected officials, politicians to understand what's involved. And even though we have 50 Democrats, plus of course Kamala Harris, the VP, as a tiebreaker, we still have to get through the filibuster, which I do have a previous video this week about that goes into great detail. Okay, we have our first question. Well, first going back to the bill, I do expect it to take at least 1 month. I know everyone's anxious and interested how soon it will take. Just because Biden's team has been talking about it during the campaign doesn't mean that it's going to be a quick thing. It's not up to him at the end of the day. It's up to him to introduce it, right? It's his agenda, his initiative. But it's up to Congress now to debate it and to get that through. Okay, so now to our question. I'll post it here. Thank you, Mona, for your question. What about marriage green card interview waiting for 3 years from now? I think I saw your question earlier this week. Thank you for asking. Number one thing to do here, you may have done this already, but you want to check the USCIS.gov website, case processing time. And let me see if I can pull that up and give you an example here. If you're able to share in the comments where your case is located, then I can give you an idea how everyone should look at the case processing time. Because what you do after that is you want to see if what the cutoff date for inquiry, because under President Trump's administration, they extended the time range. Now, in some cases it's more realistic that way, but for the most part, it's pretty ridiculous how many months and years they've extended the processing timetable. So if you're able to share with me your location, and I'm going to look up the Form I-485. Okay, so let me share my screen so you have an idea what I'm looking at here. Okay, so I'll give you an example since I don't. But in general, it's been 3 years for you now. So that's 36 months from a date of filing your 485, I'm assuming. So anyway, I've clicked here. I'm on the USCIS.gov website. I've selected the form 485. Since it's been 3 years, then it should be at your field office. So I'm just going to give you an example. Since I'm physically in Houston, I'm going to click on Houston, then click on Get Processing Time. Okay, you scroll down here. So normally clients, when they onboard with us, we show them this, and we still tell them that normally on average it takes 15 months. But here you can see the minimum time is 15 to 29 months. And here on the family-based, they have employment-based and family-based. It shows more specifically 15 and a half to 27.5 months. And a cutoff date for submitting inquiry is October 13th, 2018. So since your case has been since your case has been processing for at least 3 years, from what you say, then you should be your receipt date is probably before October 13th, for example, 2018. So that means you can submit an inquiry. There's two ways you can do this. You can call the hotline, USCIS hotline, 1-800 number. But to save you time, to be honest, because it just goes through a lot of the automated options on the phone, you can do this online. Okay, and I'll show you very quickly here how to do that. Go back to the main page. Scroll down here where this lady is with the phone. Then you check, actually go up to tools on the top right bar. Okay, then USCIS tools and resources. So it used to be a lot easier to get to this. Now they've made it a lot more difficult to get to it anyway. On the left column here, self-service tools, e-request. Okay, and I'm assuming you've already done this, but default one is case. You select case outside normal processing time, and then you just submit you type in your information like receipt number, your address, things like that. Okay, so hopefully that helps. But in general, it's any client that we've had that's been processing more than 15 to 24 months, our recommended option is to file a lawsuit against the USCIS. We call that a mandamus lawsuit. Really pushes the U.S. attorney, encourages them to contact their local office, the USCIS office, over your case, and tell them to ask them, hey, what's going on with this case? And sometimes there's really nothing going on. They just, for some reason, slow about it. And unless it's some kind of security or criminal issue, then that'll be told to share with U.S. attorney. So anyway, contact our office, schedule appointment. You see our link here in the banners down below, and we're happy to help you with that. Now to the next question. Let me stop my screen share there. Okay, Mr. Chef Tejas, thanks for your question. Tell us some updates for spouse visa. I'm assuming you're talking about the interviews from what we call consular processing abroad. And right now we've been checking every day, almost every couple hours with our resources. And so far, nothing specifically about the opening of embassies and consulates. Now, some consulates are opening, but they're just not sharing that publicly. I think probably because they don't want a flood of cases or inquiries in general. So I suggest, I highly recommend if you're filing this on your own or have started on your own, number one, of course, as an attorney, we can help with the second part of the case and keep updated for you every week. But if you're doing this on your own and prefer to keep it that way, I would suggest looking at the US Consulate page for the country that your spouse is located, and just keep checking that very often. I'd say every couple of days at least, to see if it mentions anything about reopening. Okay, and there is a contact page on each consulate. Okay, so you can inquire They have a phone number and they should have an email address. If you tell me which country, I'm happy to look for you right now. Okay, there are some other news. And by the way, any information I share with y'all, I use it from a credible source. I'm a member of American Immigration Lawyers Association. Some people call that AILA. So we depend on that because they would always provide us the credible, truthful information. We don't want to provide anything to provide any, to mislead anyone, okay? Okay, it's from India. Thank you for sharing that. So let me look that up. Is that Delhi or, all right, let's see. Last time I checked it for New Delhi last week, it was definitely closed. Okay, this is for you. You're from India. Okay. All right. Well, let me share my screen so everyone has a better idea. Okay. All right. So we're at the U.S. embassies and consulates page for India. Okay, Mumbai. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that. So I see New Delhi contact info here. So this is just the main page. Now to get to the, okay, Consulate General Mumbai, I'm looking on the bottom here. Okay, you may have seen this, so this could be redundant, but you see the contact, of course, the address and the phone number. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate number to be calling, but that's a starting point. Usually these pages also have a page that says visa. So it may not say visa specifically sometimes, so I just click on section and offices. Okay, scroll down and then should be under consular section. Okay, here we go. Yeah, consular section is where they talk about the non-immigrant visa applications and immigrant visa. So you just see it by appointment only. So, and every country is different in terms of how to schedule an appointment, or if you're even able to schedule an appointment on your own. It's typically for spousal visa, it's typically coordinated by the National Visa Center, NVC. As you can see here, I'm highlighting it. Okay, and then after that, so hopefully that helps. You check that out and try to contact them there. There's also a link to the right. It says scheduling appointments. Give you some advice on that. So it just depends on the type of application, but you said yours is for spousal. Okay, so hopefully that helps. All right, I'll stop my share screen here. All right, next question. Shanti. I'm on asylum for 6 years and didn't get any hearing date yet, but you got my work. Okay, I think you said I got my work permit renewed. So I'm on the 8-year path to get the green card once president inauguration. Okay. So you didn't get a hearing date yet. I think you mean, did you? I think you're probably talking about referring to the removal proceeding for immigration court. I've heard also whether it's immigration court or USCIS field office, asylum interviewing office, like in Texas, for example, it's in Houston. They're very backlogged. What if you tell me? Can you tell me which if your application is with USCIS or immigration court in which city? But in general, yes, you can continue renewing your work permit until then. In terms of the green card, I guess of course some people call it amnesty, or the official name, Citizenship Act. That it's not necessarily depending so far, not necessarily dependent on how many years you've been in the U.S. But although my recommendation in the previous video is to get 10 year, as much evidence of your physical presence in the U.S. I know there would be some pushback by conservatives to say that to have a later cutoff date. But so far, the proposed bill says January 1st, 2021. But of course, for Democrats, we have any party, they have to ask as much. It's like negotiation. If you want to ask for the world, you gotta ask for a lot, and then they're gonna negotiate back to the other way. So anyway, to answer, hopefully that answers your question. I know that a lot of people like yourself, Shanti, have asked if people who have applied for asylum could qualify on this. Based on the very skeleton preliminary information, anyone can apply as long as you've been in the country physically present in the U.S. on January 1st, 2021 and have good moral character. And the best way to show proof of good moral character is by filing your taxes. And so I know, of course, if you have a work permit, you're able to get a social security number. So that's the easy part. But if you are listening and here undocumented, and so you don't have a social number, then you can apply for a tax ID number. So you can do that on the irs.gov website, from what I understand, or of course ask your bookkeeper or accountant. Okay, they can help you with that. Because you definitely do not want to use a fake social. Please do not use it, a fake social. If you have been using a fake social, please stop doing that and get a tax ID number. Okay, and Shanta, you said you're in New York. So if you're in New York and whether your application is with USCIS or the immigration court, I can imagine it's definitely backlogged. But if you haven't, and please, I recommend you continue checking your receipt notice, receipt number on the USCIS.gov website, and try to do that every month. And by the way, for anyone listening, if you change your address, you need to update that on the USCIS.gov website, or if you have a immigration court case in front of a judge, you need to update them. It's called the form. You can probably search it online, EOIR 33. Okay, because the most important reason to do that is because if you had moved and they somehow changed the court date to be earlier or later and you just don't know about it, or for your interview date for asylum, for example, and you don't know about it, then they're going to deny your case. We've had clients hire us to reopen the case, but that's only if they have some kind of proof that they have updated the court. There's very, very rare circumstances where we have reopened the case through the court, even when we don't have proof of it. But of course, you have to tell the truth when you're writing your letter. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Thank you for the question. Now, okay, Chef. You said USCIS is working, or you're asking me, is USCIS working on green card spouse visa? Okay, so are you so the way you ask your question, it sounds like then you filed the 485, or are you waiting at the consulate and interview at the consulate? But okay, have you filed your case? In general, yes, they are. USCIS is working on cases. I know it seems like they're not, but they definitely are. Even though the case processing time that I just showed earlier is on average, really practically for every field office, it's usually 15 months to 30 months. I know it's very ridiculous, but on average, even during President Obama's term, you're welcome. President Obama's term, it was on average 12 to 15 months from the day you file your application on the receipt notice until having the interview. But yes, they're working on spousal. They're working on all cases. Okay, your question is the ban is still to March 31st. Yes, so far, I know that's everyone's concern. So far, that is the same date. I anticipate. I'm not sure why President Biden has not resolved that first. I think he would want to focus on the Muslim ban first, and did that on his first day a couple days ago because that's more symbolic, to just tell America and the rest of the world that we're not a country that wants to discriminate on any people trying to come in the U.S. in that way, not based on religion. But yes, the ban is still on until March 31st. I do anticipate President Biden to reverse that. And so that's based on a proclamation. So that would be easy. That's not a regulation per se. So that'd be easier than a regulation. Okay, so stay tuned, subscribe to our channel. We will update you as soon as we get the news. And I know you're probably getting news from other YouTubers, attorneys on YouTube, or just news articles, right? We're still going to share it anyway, but verify it through our sources. Number one for us, we always check the government websites, whitehouse.gov, for example, and also travel.state.gov websites as well. So we rely on them and also our membership with AILA to provide accurate information. So let's see what else I can share with you. But in the meantime, for Chef and also other people waiting just like you for an interview abroad, okay, you want to make sure that all your spouse's financial documents, 864, especially with the new just finished 2020, so you're probably going to have a new tax return ready for your spouse. And so when you're providing new information, you're going to have to get ready also I like to recommend last 3 months of pay stubs, whether it's 1099 or W-2, and just proof of income, right? And so make sure you receive the notification, usually by email, that NVC has all your documentation in terms of finances, but also your criminal clearance record. Now you have to provide your criminal clearance record. In the U.S., that's what we call it in the county level, okay? But abroad, they call it a police certificate. Okay, so have that ready, and also bring a copy of everything that I just mentioned. Okay. We'll have another video about that, okay, to remind everyone how to get ready for a consulate interview. So that's actually a good one. Let me write that down. Okay, consulate interview prep. Okay. So just like I mentioned earlier on the contact page, you want to find a way to submit an inquiry to just make sure that they're considering your case. Of course they are, but there's so many people waiting. It's basically a year's worth of applications that people are waiting. So I've got about 4 more minutes. Thank you, Chef. Love to try your food someday when you finally come to the U.S. All right, we got Daisy. And hey, Fortnite, nice to see you again. Okay, Daisy. Okay, Chef, I'll get back to you in a second. All right, Daisy. Question is, your friend is from Mexico and been here for 15 years. Been in the U.S. for 15 years and has paid taxes for 3 years. Can he apply for the green card? Now, I know my previous videos and what I just said is, provide tax returns as proof of good moral character. The other way to provide proof of good moral character is to go to the county sheriff's department or county, usually go to the basic criminal court to get a copy of what we call police, or you can call it police or a criminal clearance record. It's not necessarily police, but yeah, criminal clearance record to show that there's no crimes, no arrests. I like to provide that in my client's package, their application. But tax return specific, I think it's still too early to say how many years worth of tax returns, because right now, again, the skeleton preliminary plan, it just says you have to show proof that you're here since January 1st, 2021. So usually, like for DACA, for people that apply for DACA back in 2012, right, we would want to provide, and that was implemented in 2015. So we have to show, actually that cutoff date back then, and still is 2007. You have to show proof 2007, right? And it was actually implemented in 2012. That's right. So they have to show 5 years worth of physical evidence. So I suspect that could be similar here. And so honestly, that's why I was surprised that they said January 1st, 2021. But hey, like I said, they they want to include as many people as possible in this, right? They're being more thoughtful than previous administrations. There's no reason to have a much earlier, farther away cutoff date. Okay, and this still prevents people from suddenly coming into the U.S. like this week. Let's see here. So hopefully it helps. Stay tuned, Daisy. Okay, we don't know for sure yet, but anyway, in general, there's not necessarily a set number of years that they have to show proof of tax returns. But for example, I've mentioned in my previous videos, if someone is married and they had marked single, you want to make sure you get that amended, okay? And I'm sure you can amend it on your own, but if you have an accountant or tax person, ask that person to get it taken care of, okay? Because we have a lot of clients where the both spouses are undocumented or overstay their visa or enter the U.S. without a visa. So, and they both file tax return, maybe separately. So I'm not sure why people do it separately, but I've heard of it. Okay, we just got about 1 minute left. Okay, Chef, you're welcome. Daisy, you're welcome. Chef, you did mention your wife filed I-130 in end of May 2020, and got the receipt now. That's great. So I guess maybe your case might not be ready, has been completed yet. I hope so. In general, I-130s petitions take about average 6 months to 12 months, or actually 6 months to 8 months. So hopefully your petition has already been approved. Okay, and then after 1 month after approval, you should get some kind of email. You or your wife or spouse get an email from NVC, National Visa Center, to pay the fees, $445 total, and to start submitting the financial evidence, uploading that online. So by the way, I believe it's across the board, all consulates, I'm assuming all consulates, but past several months, every case we've had, it's said to upload it online. It used to be where we had to mail it in to New Hampshire. That's where the embassy is located. Okay, friends, thank you very much for your questions. I appreciate it. We will have more news for you, so please stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, and smash the like button. You know what to do, and leave more comments below if you have any further questions. Thank you very much, and have a great day.